What up, y'all?
Thanks. Yeah, you're live. Good. Okay, if everybody will please rise for the pledge.
What?
Motion stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. But first of all, I'd like to welcome everybody and thank everybody for being here. We'll go ahead and start with the business that we have. We're going to have the swearing in of our fiscal officer for the term starting April 1st, 2024. Matt, Lisa.
Yeah.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. Oath of office for the state of Ohio, County of Delaware. I, Lisa Hersey,
I, Lisa Hersey,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm that
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Ohio,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Ohio,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of fiscal officer
and will faithfully discharge the duties of fiscal officer
in Harlem Township,
in Harlem Township,
Delaware County,
Delaware County,
state of Ohio,
state of Ohio,
during my continuance in office.
during my continuance in office. Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, representative from Tribal Electric, and I'm not even going to try the last name. Would you mind going to there, please?
Sure.
I apologize, but I didn't want to butcher it,
Not the first or last. It's
she said.
Hi. Thank you very much for having me. I will keep it brief. Wanting to speak to the board this afternoon in regards to your natural gas program, which is coming up for renewal. I wanted to present an extension offer from the current supplier, which will keep the terms exactly the same. Right now, you have a rate that is reflective of utility, so it is variable month over month, but it's a guaranteed discount off of the utility adder. So with the the natural gas prices as low as they are right now, it's very hard to beat with a fixed rate. I have some performance I can show you so you can see kind of in reference what I'm speaking of. But Archer Energy, that current supplier, has offered to extend that term, same terms through May of 2025. And then given, kind of future uncertainty, just of where everything will lead with a potential merger, they have offered that if that does move forward, that you could terminate the duration of that agreement, if that is to take place prior to May of 2025. So all very, very favorable terms. Nothing changes from the way that it is today. And if you wanted to move forward with it, it would just be a two-page addendum that would basically say, I agree to the same terms as are in place now. And the new effective date would be ending in May of 2025.
Okay.
Any questions at all that I'm happy to answer? Like I said, I have some performance I can leave with you guys to take a
If
look
you
at.
could leave that.
Sure, of course.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's due by April 18th. Is that what it said?
That's when the term is up.
That's what term is up.
Yes, yes, sir.
I have the resolution, so when we get into this, we can make the motion.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you again.
Of course, any questions that I can answer?
I have nothing at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm sure after I read this, I probably will, but.
Sure. Okay,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You have her contact information.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thanks very
Appreciate the
much.
time.
All right, we're going to go to strategic planning, but before we open it to them, I have a little quick statement that I'd like to, Kendra, I'd like to have this put into the minutes, please. If you would hand that to Kendra. And I will go ahead and read it. Today, we find ourselves at a critical point in time, in the life of our rural community, Harlem Township. The threat of annexation by Columbus, Sunday, and or New Albany looms large, posing a risk of reshaping our identity and our way of life. Yet in the face of this looming threat, there is another option on the table, a contract and merger agreement with the city of Westerville. But let us be clear, this merger is not a done deal. Negotiations need to be done, and the fine details have yet to be finalized. However, as details of the proposed merger began to emerge, a group of our community has begun to voice their opposition with increased intensity. They decry the perceived lack of involvement, demanding transparency, and insisting that this merger must be halted at all cost. It is essential to note that despite their protest, this group has yet to provide any viable alternative options that have not already been explored by those actively involved in this process. I am deeply troubled by the treatment of the Strategic Planning Committee, a group within our community who have selflessly dedicated themselves to its betterment over the last 2 years. Despite attending meetings, conducting research, and making countless calls to address our community's challenges, they have faced vicious attacks from a vocal minority. These individuals who step forward with compassion and determination have been met with scorn and hostility, their efforts disparaged rather than celebrated. But let me ask you this. What does it say about us as a community when those who are willing to step forward and lend a helping hand are treated with such disdain? What does it say about our values when we allow a vocal minority to dictate the narrative and drown out the voices of those who try to lead efforts to save our community? Annexation extends one entity's jurisdiction over another, while a merger agreement involves two entities combining to form a unified one. Annexation offers results in the annexed area falling under the governance and annexation entity, whereas a merger agreement implies a more equal partnership between the merging entities. When considering a merger agreement, letting the community vote is crucial. This allows residents to have a say in the potential changes to their governance and services. By involving the community in the decision-making process, concerns can be addressed and consensus can be reached. It ensures transparency and democracy in determining the community's future. Choosing not to pursue negotiations for a merger would deny residents the opportunity to weigh the pros and cons of such an agreement. It's essential to respect our community and empower its members to make informed decisions about their collective destiny. Thus, denying their voting power is a disservice to the citizens of our community. Yes, there are details to be worked out, agreements to be reached, compromises to be made, but isn't it worth exploring every possible avenue to ensure the future of our community? We cannot afford to let fear and uncertainty dictate our actions. We must come together as a community, engage in constructive dialogue, and work towards a solution that benefits us all. Let us not allow the voices of a few to drown out the needs of the many. Our future is at stake, and we owe it to ourselves and the future generations to explore every option available to us. It is time for us to unite and stand in solidarity with those who have worked tirelessly for the common good. We cannot allow negativity to overshadow the positive. Together, let us support and uplift those who seek to make a difference. For it is through mutual respect and collaboration that we can build a brighter future for our community. But I urge you to consider the bigger picture. The future of our community hangs in the balance. In closing, I urge the trustees to express a vote of confidence in the Strategic Planning Committee tasked with negotiating the merger and to encourage them to proceed with their diligent research and exploration of other potential options as they are presented. It's essential to recognize the expertise, dedication of the committee members who have tirelessly worked towards the community's best interest. Let us support their efforts and trust in their ability to navigate this complex procedure with transparency and integrity. Together, let us move forward towards a future that reflects the collective will and aspirations of our community. With that, You have a report, sir?
Yes. I'm Jim Steele-Smith on the Strategic Planning Committee. Just a brief report tonight. It's only been a week since our last meeting. A couple of things to update on that. At our last meeting, we asked for additional volunteers, and we received 10 people signed up. We've got one without an email on their phone call, but we're inviting them to come to our next meeting, and we can start working on assignments and what they would be able to do to help us. We've also engaged with Holly Matter at Planning. We're working on an idea to do an informative video addressing George Cedars and other development tools. There seems to be a lot of misconception out there as to what these tools do, and a lot of just misconception. So anyway, we're hoping to get these videos made, also some FAQs and that type of thing, and put more things on our site in the near future. We continue to engage with property owners, builders, and developers. They call all the time. One thing we like to do is encourage them to examine our zoning where we have large open spaces, our preservation zoning. With that, as the committee goes forward, again, our mandate is we ask the public to continue to have meaningful engagement with us, that we will not engage in anything that restricts or tries to stop the public's right to vote on any issues. That is our mandate, that is the law, and we're not varying. With that, I'm going to leave the rest of my time slot to Steve Eisenbrown. Well, good evening. I'm Steve Eisenbrown, 4909 Harlem Road. I was one of the founding members of the Strategic Planning Committee. And so last week at our meeting, we went through our regular business agenda, and so we had a pretty good turnout. Needless to say, we had 50 in the room and 174 on Zoom. We had to expand the license to accommodate the extra Zoomers, and hopefully that'll keep on coming along. But after working through the business meeting as such, I then made, and I don't want to get carried away in the legal definition of a motion, because I was a business guy. I wasn't a lawyer. So, but I put forward a statement more as to just be sure that we had alignment with the Strategic Planning Committee, which I was pretty sure we did. It's the first time we did at the committee. So I put forward a statement. I'm going to read the statement, and then I'll give you a few other comments. So our statement was, so with respect to the Westerville merger investigation, I would like to make the following motion. I move on behalf of the SPC, Strategic Planning Committee, that we recommend to the trustees that in light of the compressed timeline and feedback from residents, we will push out the activity to allow for more time for investigation, and while we continue to work on our other ongoing work. So there was a final comment about what we respectfully suggest to the trustees, that the trustees leave the decision on this to the residents via a vote of Harlem Township, and not usurp their authority by not allowing us to proceed. I'm not going to move that motion forward with you guys. I think it was for us. It was an alignment tool for the Strategic Planning Committee. So I'm going to do something very simple here. What I'm looking for, and I think the entirety of the SPC is, who mostly, I think everybody's here tonight, I'm looking for an acknowledgement or validation from you that you value what's being done by the SPC and that you support the ongoing work that we have been doing at the SPC, and you support us continuing to look at the major options with Westerville. I'm not looking for a vote. I'm looking for a show of hands from each of the trustees. Do you support that? Do you support us continuing our work and support our continuing work of investigating Westerville? I'd like to see a show of hands. Great. Sometimes we're not sure we have that support, quite honestly, especially lately. The other thing I would ask you to do in light of that support is make your support known. I know you guys have had a tough sled. All right, everybody has with some of the junk out there. But you know, that's what you get paid the big bucks for. So it's not good enough to just sit up there and hear from us. It's your job, if you in fact support us, to go on record about the ways in which you will support us, not be passive. So, A, thank you for your support. Thanks for showing it tonight. And the committee is prepared to keep on trotting down the path. And our next meeting is the first Tuesday of April, and we'll be holding our meetings on the regular schedule of first and third Tuesday of each month. And we'll do it live in this room, and we'll be doing it by Zoom. So thank you.
Chairman, I got some statement I'd like to make. Pass it out to you.
I don't think we're done with the SPC. But you want to make a comment?
Am I allowed to?
After-
Sorry. I didn't prepare anything in advance, so forgive me if this is kind of a little spur of the moment. I do thank you for, I should say my name, Molly Snodgrass, sorry, member of the SPC. I do want to thank you for the show of support for our efforts. I know that, you know, some of the recent proposals and things we're looking into are, you know, a little bit more controversial or contentious. There's a lot of strong emotions about it. As Carl, you had mentioned earlier, nothing is a done deal. We haven't even had really the full opportunity to investigate some of the questions that are still out there with relation to Westerville. And perhaps we don't go that route. Perhaps as we get more into it and get more of those answers, maybe the end result is that we do not feel that there's even an agreement to come to present to the voters. That is also a possibility. It's also a possibility that we do come to an agreement and it is worth putting up to the voters, but none of that is really even determined yet. What I do also want to point out, in the event that, you know, a merger with Westerville does not go through, we need to be working in parallel path mode, which, you know, Steve acknowledged in his talk. And one thing I want to point out is that one of our recommendations a year and a half ago, September of 2022, was for the trustees to consider the hiring of a full-time planner and a full-time administrator for Harlem Township. That is in the meeting minutes of both our SPC meeting from that month and also the following day, the trustees meeting. I know, Matt Yeager, you were not a trustee then, so you would not recall this. The other two of you hopefully would. I would like to think that there might be support still in the community and of the trustees for perhaps re-looking at that option. I know we have a great consultant we've been working with, but perhaps the time has come to bring in a full-time professional planner to help in these efforts. I know everyone on the strategic planning committee is very passionate, but we're volunteers. We're not experts in any of this material, and we do have a consultant, but she's not full-time dedicated to Harlem Township. So just something to keep in mind and perhaps can be revisited. If we continue as a township and don't do any mergers, we will need to make sure that we're in a good place going forward, and something like that should be highly considered.
Thank you, Molly.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Guys, there's nothing on my agenda. So sorry.
Not sure. Bruce McClary, Gorsuch Road on the Strategic Planning Committee. We had a couple of things that I think are important to make sure everybody understands has happened recently. We just received notification that on the 15th of March, AEP Ohio filed the letter of notification for the second of the 13-mile, 345 kV line. So, you know, the first one I think they filed in January. They've kind of led us to believe it wasn't going to come quite as quick, but it would be coming. But less than 3 months, 3 months later, they're filing the permit, expedited permit for the second high power lines. Also, there was a meeting that was canceled last night that the Ohio EPA was looking to move forward with a general wastewater discharge permit situation for parts of Licking in Delaware County. They have since said that they are no longer going to file for that permit. At least that's the reading that I saw. I also, Tom, me and I were able to attend the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Committee Connecting the Communities annual event. Their topics really were about, how can we get more housing and how can we get more transportation. It was downtown Columbus, really good event. Some good things were mentioned, but clearly it's all about moving things forward with housing. So I wanted to report on those things. And I did want to say one thing that's probably a little out of character for me, but there was a Genoa Township trustee that felt necessary to weigh into the Harlem Township matters and their consideration potentially in looking into a merger with Westerville. I would just like to ask that a township like Genoa that only has about 660 acres of farmland available compared to over almost 8,800 farm acres in Harlem Township to maybe worry about their own business when it comes to annexation and how much of a threat that might be. We're probably in a little more difficult situation than they would be. So I'm not sure, as a member of Harlem Township, I appreciate Genoa Township trustee wading into our affairs. And with that, thank you.
Thank you.
Bruce, will you help take a look at, you and Tom help take a look at this with us,
Sure.
the natural gas?
Oh, absolutely. Glad to.
Anybody else from strategic before Matt?
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for the opportunity to share my thoughts on the issue. Dear residents of Harlem Township, driven by the guiding principle that it is best to seek first to understand, then to be understood, as well as to be accountable for my 2023 trustee campaign's published promises, I have aggressively pursued since early January 2024 outreach to both public and private sector influences that impact the welfare and well-being of Harlem Township, its leadership, and most importantly, its citizens. When I ran to serve as your new township trustee, I made key commitments to you, including doing my part to keep Harlem Township's rural character through good planning and to strengthen communication with township residents, businesses, and neighbors. Since the day after being elected, I've worked tirelessly to learn as much as possible to effectively serve this community and fulfill my commitments and responsibilities to our residents. I've made every effort to understand township operations, including our budget, zoning, parks, roads, maintenance, fire department, and cemetery programs. And I've made great efforts to meet as many of our surrounding neighbors as possible. Like many of you, I was surprised to learn about the Strategic Planning Committee's recommendation to explore a merger with Westerville, and I've been very disappointed by how this information in some manner has been communicated to our residents. To be clear, while the Strategic Planning Committee in collaboration with Crossroads Community Planning is requesting to investigate a merger, the Board of Trustees has not made a decision on this. I am determined to review all options to proactively address development pressures facing Harlem Township, but I firmly believe that hastily making such a significant decision based on fear of annexation is not the appropriate course of action. As such, I am not currently able to support this proposal. I believe that Harlem Township is not just lines on a map, but rather Harlem Township is an identity, a community of involved residents that shared values and help and support each other. I do appreciate the efforts of the volunteers of the Strategic Planning Committee, who have dedicated countless hours over the past 2 years to find possible solutions to curb uncontrolled growth in our community. Their commitment is commendable, and I believe their desire to do what's best for our community is sincere. However, before the board takes any formal action on any recommendations from the Strategic Planning Committee, we must pause to properly engage and listen to the residents of the township. It is absolutely crucial that we exercise due diligence to fully understand an option of this complexity. And it is essential to include viewpoints and feedback of our residents in this process to ensure that our actions are informed and representative of the community's interests. This requires more time, to thoroughly evaluate all options with resident input. I'm proposing any formal negotiations with a potential merger with Westerville. A well-informed and involved community is best equipped to make decisions about our township's future. A merger with a city like Westerville is one option that should be considered, but we need more time and additional input from our residents before moving forward. Involved is not just about voicing concerns. It's about contributing to a community culture that values open communication, mutual respect, shared decision-making. So what do I mean by committed and involved? Well, my dad once told me the difference between involvement and commitment is like ham and eggs. The chicken is involved, but the pig is committed. I understand that this is an emotional issue, but I pray that at a time when the broader Central Ohio community is looking to Harlem Township to be a leader, we will continue to demonstrate truly how special and engaged this community is, to include showing restraint and pouring out our emotions through a keyboard. We have an incredible community of people in Harlem Township, and I encourage us all to stay engaged and positive about our future. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I must have misunderstood, or you guys misunderstood the question I asked earlier. I asked a very simple question of each of you. The question is, do you support the work of the Strategic Planning Committee to continue to work in the areas that we have been working, as well as the pursuit of understanding the possibilities to merge with Westerville? After what I just heard, I think I just heard a no vote to that. I'd like to see a show of hands. Do you support us or not? Because that was a very clever way to walk away from what I asked. You raised your hand, Matt.
To support the strategic planning committee.
No, to support the work we're doing in pursuit of the merger as well as parallel paths. You can go back and listen to the audio. Now, do you raise your hand for that?
I support the work of the strategic planning committee.
Okay, I think you don't, I think that's reasonable. Well, I also do. Hang on. I believe you also find ways that to undermine.
Hang on just a second, Steve. I understand, everybody, please, but as you said, sir, let's not talk over one another. That comes from out here and it comes from up here. Steve, if you have something to say it, and then we'll respond back.
Fine, I will ask one more time. Do the trustees support the work of the Strategic Planning Committee on the work that we have been doing to date, as well as the ongoing investigation of a Westerville merger? Sign of support or no support?
What does that mean?
That means all of the above. We're going to work our current agenda, and we're going to continue to work to learn more about the opportunities with Westerville. We're going to be holding meetings to educate people about the opportunities, but we're going to work towards finding out what is possible with Westerville, because right now, nobody knows that answer. So we said we would take parallel paths.
I didn't want to step over you. I said, this was not just words. I am 100% behind both paths. Matter of fact, 6 paths, 7 paths. This committee has always had an open mind towards looking at every possible option. Do I support continuing the discussion of possibly talking with Westerville as one of the options? Absolutely. I will continue to say that. I also urge the committee, and I support the committees going forward and looking into the JEDs, which I'm being accused of making a off topic subject in a meeting that I didn't know. You know, I mean, not only is the committee getting attacked, I'm getting attacked, but you can attack me all you want. I don't really care. Do you have my support? Yes, you have my support 100% to continue with the effort of the committee.
Okay, Dave?
Yes, I would concur with that. I'm in support of the continued talks. I don't know how we're going to manage. Is this going to be talks? And then if talks go well, then you enter the 120-day period.
We're miles from the 120.
Well, that's my opinion too. Because I've got, and I've told, I think you and another member too, the big thing that's hanging up with me is how Harlem Township zoning and overlays are going to be, how representation is going to be,
Right.
and kind of figure out the tax thing.
Yeah.
Those are all three deal breakers,
Right.
you know, but it's worth pursuing versus the alternative. And that's why I'd like to see the talks continue, see if you feel like things are going, then you enter that period, the 120-day period, somewhere down the road.
It'll come back to you at that point.
Yeah,
If
right.
we've done the work that says there's something there,
But,
and in parallel, we'll be keeping the community informed about the work.
right, because, and I myself personally appreciate everything the strategic committee's done. I know the hours you put, I've listened to Zoom as much as I could. And all the extra stuff you guys have done on your own is phenomenal. For volunteers to do that is just remarkable. But a lot of people maybe not know me, but I've lived here all my life. I was 10 days short of living in the same house 70 years. And we live on a century farm. And I sure as hell didn't think I'd have an AEP line running across our two farms, but we're gonna have it. And that's right in the middle of my sunrise every morning. I've got an amazing sunrise that comes every day on a 200-acre field. And that thing I'm gonna be looking at. So, I mean, life changes, the impact, there's been news stories about Intel on the past few nights and it continues, but if we can work something out or if something else reverts back to us of these other options. But I would like to see us go ahead and hopefully get our overlays done for the township too. I don't know how you're gonna do it all. But,
We're doing it.
but you know, if we can get that done, but I know the best interest, all you guys have got the best interest in the township. And I know there's folks out here who don't believe it, but believe me, they do. I mean, if you put in the time that they do and dedication, it's remarkable. So.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Matt?
Steve, I support the strategic planning committee and their efforts of all the work they do. It is commendable what you guys do. What I don't want is to rush into a formal, defined by Ohio Revised Code process without we better educating our residents of what they're getting into. And until we can better educate and get better community engagement and better input from the community, I can't go into a formal negotiation process. We can still have discussions, as I said in my letter. Looking at Westerville merger is still an option we should look at as an option.
Okay, so you support the, not going into a resolution mode. We're not even close to that.
That's
But as far as,
formal negotiations we should not enter.
hell no.
Having talks and discovering, along with educating the residents of what's
Right.
going on is the key here.
Right.
And I don't want to get started down a Ohio Revised Code process without better educating the residents.
We agree.
Okay.
That's what we basically took the motion for last week.
I think once again, the heat goes up. Everybody is very heated. I have a feeling you both are saying the same thing without saying the same thing. You do support, if I'm understanding, you support basically everything with the exception of getting into the 120-day cycle.
We can't get.
No, okay, then we're on the same process. Then we're on the same.
Then we're lockstep.
Then we're lockstep. I know, that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Again, thank you.
Can I step back up?
Sure.
Here. Sorry, Snodgrass again. Sorry, don't mean to be dragging this out. In light of better communication with the township residents, we need the trustees' help for that. The strategic planning committee doesn't really have a budget for communications that get mailed out on a regular basis. We need the trustees to support something like that. We've built up an email distribution list, but it only has 25% of the households in the township on it. And yes, we're pushing as much stuff as we can through like social media sites and the website, but again, not everyone has internet access or checks those things. We need to be sending regular communications mailed out to the township, and we will need the funding to be able to do that. Or if it's not done through the SPC, it needs to be the trustees, something coming officially in the mail on a regular basis so that people know what's happening when, if we have open houses where, we're seeking input for different non-negotiables that we might want to work on, or other avenues with the other options, the JEDs and the NCAs and things like that. We need to make sure our residents, all of them, not just the ones that are on the email list, are informed of this kind of thing. So I don't know how that might work best if everything as far as printed mailers gets sent out by the trustees or if the budget is increased for that, for the strategic planning committee. But we need to make sure that not just oral communication, but printed communication is increased. To the,
I was just gonna add to what you were saying. Do you mind?
yeah, go ahead, Kendra.
Okay, currently, from what I have reviewed in past minutes for this year, strategic planning committee has a budget of $2,000. And last year, our newsletter alone, the trustees spent just shy of $2,500 for the. I agree with Molly that they need additional funds to do mailers, whether it's postcards or whatever. We can work with Paxton Printers was great, but if we can, we'll pull quotes from them on some of this and find out what kind of cost we're looking at, and then I think we could come back to the trustees with kind of a budget in mind, a request for what they would need for some mailers.
If memory serves me right, the budget that was given originally to strategic planning committee was primarily for printing of miscellaneous items within, things that we needed, maps. that
Yeah,
kind of
not
stuff.
mass mail.
It was internally that could be, at meetings. I would go as far as I would like to maybe even make a motion or whatever we have to do to just say, if it's $2,500 a mailing, maybe let's initially set it up for 2 mailings. And get 2 mailings.
Why don't we get a pricing and options to look at that?
We can do
Kind
that.
of what
That,
you need before
yeah,
we.
that,
Can we do so that we don't delay this until next month though? Can we come up with something that we can say that once this pricing is reached, that we'll have it not to exceed or something like that? I just hate to kick, I don't like,
Kick the can a month because
take my words, say that all the time.
I don't know how all this works, how you guys have to function to authorize funds for that. Maybe in the meantime, if it takes some time to figure that out, to authorize the SBC to start sending more things, the trustees might consider sending something out on your own behalf. But just,
Can you come up with a budget of like how much you need? Because we went
Yeah,
through the
if we
budget
get-
appropriations. And I think I asked Jim how much you guys needed. At the time, it was just $2,000.
That's what,
It's either 2 or 25, but like Carl said, that's for maps and,
Yeah.
that type of thing, supplies.
this is something
I
new.
wouldn't anticipate sending more than like 1 or 2 mailers in a month's period. So if we get maybe an increase to $5,000 until the next trustee meeting, that might allow us to get at least a couple things in the mail.
I'm good with that. Lisa,
Haven't spent any money yet, so.
do we have a fund we can pull that from?
Yeah, I got some.
Okay,
I would entertain a motion then that we give up to a $5,000 expenditure for mailers from the SBC.
To be clear, is this in addition to the 2,000 or other miscellaneous?
8,000 was already earmarked for something
Right.
Okay.
else.
So $5,000 for mailers for the SPC.
that, you said 2,600, as postage went up since we did that?
postage hasn't gone up. I don't know what the printing fees,
Yeah.
the printers are still charging the same to do.
It'd be an up to amount of 6,000 then.
We could,
Mine was based off of the newsletter, which is different paper, different ink and stuff, and that's what they use. Excuse me.
hang on, guys. We could take this meeting if we had to and get that
I
information
can get it
and
tomorrow. probably.
come back in at a date, time certain and
Yeah,
Tomorrow.
And I mean,
I think we
I
can
just hate
do
to
that.
put it off another 30
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
There's too much.
30 days, but I think understanding where they want to go with the budget so we can plan for that a little bit better. Understanding how much they want to do throughout the year.
I see what
You know,
you're saying.
And just kind of plan it out, so we're not just coming in every 30 days asking for $5,000.
That's why I was.
I mean, it might be worth us doing some kind of, information with like, how often would the residents want to see some kind of mailer updating them on this? Is once a month something they would expect, or is once a quarter something they would expect?
I'm just trying to find a way to not kick it down the road.
yeah. Well,
One thing, because that's important, I think it's very important, is get some volunteers. I'll do it for a certain number of households and literally go to the household and get ask for their email address. If they don't have internet like Raylene doesn't, we'll get their address and, we can hopefully get the entire township canvassed so that we can send them out via email.
Yeah,
Ultimately, that would be ideal, if we can have the majority of the township on email and not have to send as many printed mailers. So if there's a group of people that want to canvass to add more emails to our strategic planning committee's email list, that would be fantastic.
When Molly and I had a discussion, I think it was last week, we talked about this. My understanding that I came away with was doing email blast for those that have email and access to it. And I think on her list, she also has the ones that, like, she doesn't have emails for, it's just mailing addresses. We could only mail it maybe to those people, and that would save money on the township side.
right.
That way we're getting everybody.
Yeah,
I can opt out.
Yeah, they can opt out of getting mailers or email or whichever way they would prefer to
Yeah,
get.
like we could send the physical mailers only to people that we don't have their email.
Yes,
Right.
yes, and that would save the township money.
Anyway, something to consider. It sounds like you guys are maybe gonna come back to it.
well, yeah, we got, you guys a little bit more input, so,
Okay. Thank you.
thanks.
I wasn't gonna speak tonight, and I didn't plan on it, and I don't like to speak on this side of the table. That being said, it seems to me that we're up against a Goliath here,
Yes,
and we don't have a stone in our sling. We need a stone in our sling. I think I addressed that in a letter I sent to you, each of you board members this morning, that I've gonna suggest that we hire a firm in the short run, because we know how long it takes to hire someone here. We've been through how many months of hiring a maintenance person. We could go through a year trying to hire a planner, professional planner, which I think we need. But I think in the short term, if we could hire a firm who's experienced in this type of thing, we aren't experienced in this. We don't know the ins and outs. Let's get a stone in our sling here. And I've given you two names that are highly recommended from people who know what's going on in this industry. I would ask that you pursue that, have an interview with them, see if there would be a working relationship with us to work our way through these weeds, because it's difficult, and it's no disrespect to our boards. I fully respect them with that. I knew exactly what you were saying tonight when you answered that question for Steve. There was no dichotomy there. You answered the way you feel. And I think a lot of people feel that way. We're in support of looking at the Westerville merger perhaps, but we're also in support of looking at every other option we have. Let's not zero in on one thing. And I think that's the problem.
Jerry,
Hang on.
Jerry, the thing is, first of all, I'm in total agreement, because if you remember 2 years ago, I know it was 2 years ago, it was brought to the board. I am 100%, I've said for the last 2 years, we need a plan,
Agreed.
and so I'm 100% behind your idea.
Sure.
I think part of the issue, at least this is my personal opinion, and we all have those, is I know this board and I know talking with them, there was never a forget everything else thought. Because during this conversation with the folks on the other side, I've sat down with the mayors of other communities. I've sat down with developers and talked in this room about other plans, because as I've said in the past, it would be irresponsible of me if I didn't learn anything else in my terms serving with you guys. You never only have one plan, because something can happen that plan would fail. And I don't think there was ever any intention, at least I know I'm speaking for myself, and from what I know this board has constrayed to me, there's never been anything about shutting them all off and Westerville focus only. Yes, that came to the top because we had to bring it there because of the timeline, which we're forgetting now.
Okay, let's get back on track.
I understand. I just want to make sure that we're there.
I understand everything you said. Let's if we could get back on the train of getting a professional team to help our boards.
Yep.
Help guide us through
Yep.
this, people who know this industry and this business.
Yep. I agree.
And again, I think we could do it and do it fairly quickly. Yes, it's gonna cost some money, but what's it gonna cost us township if we make the mistakes?
Exactly.
That's exactly where I'm coming from. No disrespect to anybody, because everybody's worked their tails off here. College group's done a good job doing what they did to this point.
Yep.
I think now it's time to turn our attention to a professional group of people who have the connections that we're going to need to guide us through here.
But the one thing is, you're absolutely right, and I would set and I would suggest that this board set up an interview with the two that you recommended,
Thank
and maybe even look at some others. But I am also gonna say, because I don't know where, I'm not 100% sure where that conversation was totally going, and I don't want to misread you, but we still, as a board and the strategic, we still have a lot of work to do with Holly's group, with other overlays, with other planning, that we have to continue that work. And I think that work should continue, whether we have a planner installed, because that planner should also be working with this group.
I don't disagree to the point. But, we've got, if this thing goes through with Westerville, all this planning, strategic overlays and TIFs and JEDs won't mean a thing,
Yeah, absolutely,
not mean a thing.
absolutely.
So let's,
I agree to a point, but if we get annexed, none of it means anything either.
if
So-
we get annexed, it's gonna be a slow process. If we get taken over by Westerville, it's a fast process.
Planning committee, you mentioned the strategic planning committee, Jerry mentioned it, everybody is in agreement that looking further to investigate getting a planner.
Yeah, we can do those.
We need to go ahead.
I think it's a good suggestion.
I would suggest that there's two here. Let's set up a time to talk with them.
Yeah, be fine.
Thank you.
Yes,
Question,
yes.
why does Harlem Township have to be annexed in or absorbed in anyway? Why can't we just stay Harlem Township, right? I mean,
The problem is, okay, that's,
We can do that if no one agrees to sell their land.
yeah, that's the key.
still my land.
Well, unfortunately, not everybody's saying that. I mean,
The changes
we-
being done, they don't really appreciate, and so it's like, I'm getting out while I can.
Well, the problem is there's been a lot of property owners who have already sold to developers over the last several years. This has been going on. That's nothing new. And I've said this before, and excuse me, Mr. Jackson, I'm gonna use you. If Dave decides he doesn't want to farm anymore, who the heck are we to tell him he's got to continue to farm? I mean, if Dave decides he wants to sell his property and move to Hawaii, who are we to say, Dave, you can't do that? Huh?
Who told you that?
I've got a crystal ball. Rick.
I know.
I mean, that's the problem is, we have, none of us can control what someone does with their property.
True, unless they're forced out, which has happened with a lot of farmers. They didn't really want to lose their.
I don't know how to stop that.
Well, maybe if we got together and acted as one, we might have more power than we do acting individually. I mean, how many more homes do we have to have go up on farmland? Who is it?
I would-
That's enough now.
I think Matt said it. If there was some way to convince everybody not to sell their land.
It's
Yes.
just that.
Yes, Tom.
I just think, Tom, Paul.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Paul Road, thank you. I think we've forgotten one basic.
Hang on a second. If we cannot have back talk back there, if you need to carry on a conversation, I would ask you to respect the people and step outside. Thank you. Good.
We can be an army of one here in Harlem Township. We don't have to have all the splinter groups. We are friends first.
Mhm.
I consider all of you friends. We can look around the room, we can see friends of friends. We're knitted together. There's a fabric here, but we're looking at the backside. It's all raveling out. So we consider that first, we're in this together. We're asking common people to take uncommon roles. They're not educated. They are through hard knocks. But we're not talking to the instructors who are really working this out, those professionals that have the answers that we need. These men and women that have worked so hard are working with some ways with their hands behind the back, or they're not being able to see what others that we're working with see before us. So they will benefit and be educated by this advice forever, for the rest of their careers. And so will we. They can't be expected to know everything, but I do know they struggle with decisions and pass it on to Delaware County, the prosecutors. And right down to our zoning inspector, they need to be educated, and they're expected not to do this on their own. So we need to go to college. In essence, we need to send our people for good instruction, and only through an advisor. We're asking, there's a pilot in the room here. His navigator is, and co-pilot's just as well trained as he is. I just use that as an example. We've got to land this airplane. And maybe the pilot needs help. So I see us all working together in this and calming down. We're all in this for the same purpose. I don't see anybody that wants what's coming come. I think we agree on that. But we need to be informed and educated. And that's a cheap education, really, to spend money on a development professional. And this is a wild world, this real estate world we're in. There's sharks in the water, and we need to know how to fish for them. So I highly recommend that. And let's not blame any of our volunteers and elected officials, folks. Let's support, let's get behind 100%. But let's all get educated first, get our diploma, and then we can go fight the battle properly. We need help. We need knowledge.
Thank you. Yes, Roger.
I promised myself I'd keep my mouth shut tonight, but I can't. What I'm gonna say, I'm saying about myself. But you're all in the same situation, I do believe. You know, several years ago, I fell in love with my baby doll here. We got married. My God has blessed us with 5 kids. Who has blessed us with 18 grandkids and 12 great grandkids, and I'm not 72 years old yet. My generation's going on for some time. The point I want to make, my wife and I got married, we needed a house. We bought a house. My 5 kids got married. They all bought houses. A lot of my grandkids are in the houses now. If that 4th generation does what my wife and I've done, we're going to have 200-300 houses real quick just for my family. Now, does anybody in here not have kids? We're all part of the problem. Why can't we all be part of the solution? We all have different opinions. And we all have feelings. And some of the things been said in this room tonight has hurt everybody in one form or the other. Now, I said this morning that we need to hire, I agree with the Pauls and everybody else, we need to hire somebody who's experienced in this, high up here if we're going to get what we need. I personally see a way that Harlem Township can remain intact. But we're going to have to involve somebody who knows where to get the grants and the funding and so on and so forth to do that. and set it and get solidified on a solid pattern. Instead of, and I've been included in it, I've been doing some backbiting myself, and I apologize to those I've been. But we're all part of the problem. If we're part of the problem, let's be part of the solution.
Thank you, Roger. We can, if you don't mind, we do have business we need to do. We're gonna do the business and then we're gonna open this back up to anybody else that wants to talk. And, you know, I don't know about these two, but I don't go to sleep until 11 o'clock, so whatever it takes. So if we could, Brian with Delco, if you had something you would like, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the trustees for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm here. My name is Brian Coughlin, Chief Operating Officer for Delco Water. Also representing here tonight with Delco Water is Rick Dunlop. He is our Economic Development Director. And also here with me, attending with me tonight is Tiffany Magg. She is the Director of Delaware County Regional Sewer District. Mainly the reason we wanted to attend tonight is we've started to receive, both of our offices have started to receive quite a few calls by various interest parties asking our capacity, our ability to serve, you know, what our role is here in Harlem Township. Prior to me becoming Chief Operating Officer at Delco Water, I was a municipal consulting engineer for 29 years. The road ahead for you this is a hard one here in Harlem Township. And I appreciate everyone's efforts. It's not easy. There is a way forward here. There certainly is. We don't know what that looks like yet. But I wanted to affirm, first and foremost, Delco's commitment to the 1,238 customers that are members of Delco Water. We have 1,238 connections here, and we provide about 250,000 gallons a day of water to this community. We're currently building a second water tower there in Center Village. That will quadruple the capacity of the amount of stored water we have in the air here. And really, we just wanted to make ourselves available to answer any questions that anyone has here. We've put together a joint fact sheet that we're happy to distribute, that we've made available just as facts. We just didn't want a lot of misinformation going around. There's been a lot of questions about what we do and how we serve and what we can serve. And we just wanted to reaffirm our commitment to this township. I will also note that we are, particularly Delco Water, is not a political entity. We are a member-owned cooperative, similar to a farm cooperative. And to that end, you know, each and every one of you that is a Delco customer is part owner of the Delco water system. And so to that end, we really don't have a political agenda. We're here to serve. We leave those decisions to elected officials, to zoning officials. We serve to meet the needs of the community, whatever those might be. And so, you know, we're not driving any agenda for growth or lack of growth or anything in that regard. We want to meet the needs of the community and wanted to provide that clarity to this trustee board right now. So. Yes.
Question for the gentleman?
Sure.
Do you have water pipes on every street in the township?
We do not have pipes on every street in the township, but we do serve all of Harlem Township in some capacity. And if there's areas that we aren't currently serving that desired service, we would figure out a way to extend service into those areas.
But the property owner would need to initiate that request?
Usually it starts with a inquiry from the property owner. Yes, but so we started off as a rural water system, and you know, Southern Delaware County has changed obviously and transformed, and we serve 8 counties currently. We're 840 square miles, but our roots as an organization is rural water. And so, you know, the folks that had bad wells or no access to good quality water, that was our main mission. Our founding mission was to extend water into those areas. So yes, it's usually generally property owner initiated.
Do you have anything in the works for the township? Anything planned?
We do. We have, in addition to the 750,000 gallon tower, also have a planned water line coming across Sunbury Road and down Center Village. We recognize that there's been some overlay districts that have been created here that may drive up some of the demands on some of our system. And as such, we are working towards expanding those systems to meet those system demands. Now, some of this really comes down to sanitary sewer and sanitary sewer density, right? So, partly why Tiffany's here tonight, and if you would like to hear from her, I'm sure she'd be willing to speak with regard to the sanitary sewer aspect of things. But Southern Delaware County changed when sewer came to Southern Delaware County. Now, it was in the glow of Columbus. There was a lot of capacity, but what we were serving 1, 2, 3 acre lots because they had septic systems. Once the sanitary sewer system went in, the density changed pretty dramatically, and we had to meet that need. And we know that Columbus has constructed a tunnel to the county line, or is constructing a tunnel to the county line, a sanitary sewer tunnel. And since 1991, and I'm stealing a little bit of your thunder. Why don't you come on up here?
Real quick question.
Yeah.
If we would merger with Westerville, how would they take over Delco's water lines?
I don't know that they do. So because we were formed under USDA, we were afforded a monopoly, if you will, to in the interest of paying back our federal borrowing. The USDA gives us a federal monopoly to be able to repay those debts. It's under section 1926B of the federal code. And so it has happened. I can't say it wouldn't happen, but it would require USDA, the feds, to sign off on any forfeiture of our territory.
How many residents in Delaware County serve now?
So we have in Delaware County, I don't know the number off the top of my head, Delaware County, but we have 55,000 total connections. So we're serving about 160,000 residents.
So if you ended up with 5,000 new houses and apartments. All right, that's something you could serve. How about industrial? Let's start coming up 37 or something like that.
So
Do that. I know you have to build towers, but you have physically water.
So yes, we do. We are currently serving, or they're adding 1,000 taps to our system a year, about 12, maybe 1,200 taps to our system. So we're adding to our system about 1,000 connections every year. We are planning for large scale industrial users in different ways. In fact, we're talking about reuse opportunities with the Delaware County Regional Sewer District, ways to make our domestic drinking water go further and use non-potable water from a reused wastewater as a way for cooling water. It wouldn't be for drinking water purposes, but it would be for cooling water. So we're talking about a lot of different options and ways to meet the needs of the community.
Can I say something about that?
Mike, when I came to Delco, one of the first things I did is took a look at the master plan, and every 5 years or so, the head of engineering does it, or we do it in concert with some external expertise who's going to be nonpartisan, if you will. And the last one was done in 2020. And at that time, they went through and looked at every parcel of land in Delaware County and Morrow County that was 10 acres or more and said, what's this probably going to be? And when's it going to turn into something? And it takes into account the roads, the sewer, the electric, the other utilities, and just how things might progress. So the plan was done. This was expected to grow. This was expected to be a mix of residential and industrial and things like that. It's just that what's happened is the time frame has moved up. So I wouldn't want anybody to get the impression that we went, oh my gosh, what just happened? I mean, we expected this to happen, but we just expected it to be over a longer period of time, and all the timeframes are moving up. And that's what we're working with, is an accelerated time frame, not creating a plan where there wasn't one before.
So, thanks, Brian. So I'm Tiffany Mag. I'm with Delaware County Regional Sewer District. I'm the director there. So we currently service about 115,000 residents in the county, majority of which are outside of the incorporated areas. So we don't service City of Delaware. We don't service Sunbury. We don't service Galena. They all have their own treatment plants. We basically service Orange Township, Liberty Township, all of the township areas similar to Harlem Township, you know, what potentially could be in the future outside of incorporated areas. Now, we do have an agreement with the city of Columbus that tunnel is coming up to the county line. It's going to be at the corner of Harlem and Smothers Road. And from that point forward, the county has the ability to tap into that tunnel and take that sewer forward and extend it into the township, which would be county-owned sewers. That agreement was written back in 1991, and it was because of the Polaris area. So we service City of Columbus's Polaris area through Delaware County's treatment plants, and in exchange for us serving that, we got the right to service Harlem Township through this tunnel. So I think the threat of annexation is probably maybe less than what you realize in that area because of the sewer agreement. Now, I'm not saying that's a definite. They certainly can do what they can do, you know, with zoning and things like that, which may be different than the township level. So we have 9 treatment plants currently throughout the county. I think we operate about 20 million gallons per day total through those plants. And we've had a master plan to service a portion of Harlem Township for quite some time, dating back to the 90s. And that is something that we intend to work with the strategic planning committee and the trustees, Westerville, whoever it may be, for that plan to continue to move forward. So I'm here to answer any questions on that. I think we're kind of at the point that we're ready to hit the ground running with what that sewer strategy looks like from the county side with the township.
That's a basic question. That sewer agreement we talked about, that all of our sewerage go to Columbus, right?
Correct.
The agreement also said at 50% more than Columbus charges regular customers, right?
Correct.
So we're gonna pay more money, price will actually go to 20.
It's going to be metered flow, so it's a 1.5 times rate. It's the same exact deal we have in Polaris. Polaris pays us 1.5 times our rate. We don't know the details of what that's going to look like from a monthly bill perspective. It's going to be something that we would need to kind of work through on how that works with our rates, because our rates are different than Columbus's rates as well.
The second question is, when it annexes into our township, they bring their sewer in. Did you guys have no control over that either?
They potentially could do that. Yeah, I think that's maybe on the table from their perspective. I'm not sure, you know, what that looks like.
Yeah. Their sewer, they control.
Their own, yes.
Annex it and make their sewer.
Correct. They do. They have a significantly smaller treatment plant than what our capacity will be to this tunnel. So that would be one thing to keep in mind.
Okay.
Can I say something? So as a municipal engineer for a long time, one of my observations has been about annexations is this. Generally, annexations occur for a few reasons: access to police and fire, access to water and sewer. Because you don't get the kind of zoning you wanted out in township, so you're going to annex into the city to get the type of zoning that you want to increase your land value and, you know, turn a larger profit on your land. You want access to parks and recreation. There's just a handful of reasons why folks do annexation. And quite frankly, I look at Harlem Township. You've got water, you got access to sewer's coming. You already have a fire department. And you know, the schools would not be changing. So there's limited reasons why, quite frankly, some of these outside threats, Galena, New Albany, Columbus, Sunbury, would benefit from annexation. There's just limited benefit there to them. The largest one being zoning. And so I think that's one of the challenges for this community is, you know, how do you handle the zoning aspect of this? And I do think there's some opportunities here. Tiffany can talk about some of the resources that are available through Delaware County. Delaware County has a regional planner. Delaware County has a planning part. They have economic development folks that you folks are all part of Delaware County. You have access to those resources as well. You know, we just talked about Morpsey. Morpsey's, I don't believe Harlem Township is part of Morpsey yet, Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission. But there are 3 resources available through Morpsey for members of Mid Ohio Regional Planning Commission. And I think they're especially aligned with, townships that have, limited income and limited means to fund those types of planning work entities. So those are some other resources that might be available to you as a community to leverage going down the road.
And let me just say, no disrespect, and I agree with a lot of what you said, but I was at the Morpsey meeting Friday. And a lot of their talk was how they can get more high density housing for what's necessary in the community and ways to do that. So zoning is right, that's the key, but to think that Morpsey would be necessarily interested in helping us maintain our rural character, that's not as bad as a 4-year Harlem Township resident I'd be willing to take. I don't want to speak for all of you, but I would be cautionary to that tale. Yeah.
Same question with the water system. If we, with the merger with Westerville, would they be supplying sewer?
I've been in those meetings with the Strategic Planning Committee in Westerville with the intent that we uphold our agreement with Columbus and we still provide sewer. Whether that is what ends up happening, I can't guarantee that.
Question for both of you. First off, an easy one. Is the sewer still on schedule for 26?
That's my understanding. Yeah, I have a meeting with the city of Columbus in about 2 weeks and I'll learn more.
So far, it's probably close.
Yes, that's my understanding. At least mid 2026 is what I heard last.
So when the sewer goes live, there's a group of developers that want to, tap into it. So that takes a little time. I mean, it's not instant. On the water in 2026, and they start planning that, are we going to have 1 million gallons of water for that area, plus still be able to service the rest of the township
We are planning for it, yes.
in 2026?
In 2026. We are looking at a couple different alternatives in order to meet those demands that may be coming
Because
from.
that, when we're talking about driving, so I have to talk to the developers, I have to talk to landowners. That's what I do on strategic planning. So that's what their question is all the time. And they ask me, then they ask you, then they ask you, then they come back and ask me again. So, so the point is sewer, I figure, is pretty much on track. The problem is that you have a huge job of trying to get water, especially in southern Harlem Township, close to that sewer for large developments. So I'm just asking, when these large developments want to start in 26, 27, are you going to have the water there for them?
We've looked, I'm telling you, we've explored a couple different opportunities to do that. Yes, we will be meeting the needs of the region.
Okay,
The way
these
we
guys
always
call
have.
me and they have plans, then there's not a problem.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
yeah,
Good.
yeah.
I have a question. For those of us who have well water, would we be able to keep that?
Yeah, so there's no requirement to tap into drinking water. There is a little different requirement on the wastewater side, but on drinking water, yeah, there's no obligation to connect to drinking water.
So we don't have to.
No, nope. There's
Like
no.
that in writing?
Yes, you absolutely can get
I would
that.
like to.
It's recorded.
Yeah, yeah, there is no obligation to connect on the drink.
I got back there.
And the sewer is the same. The same applies for the sewer unless if you have a failing system and the health department deems it failing, they could require you to connect. But me at the sewer district, I cannot require you to connect. It would be your decision. And the county commissioners have offered a 50% reduced tap fee for anyone that's currently on septic to get on county sewers. That's been in effect for, I think, 5 or so years now, and they continue to have that move forward for, I think, the foreseeable future.
How much would it be?
How much is it?
It's the current tap fee for a brand new home without septic is $8,100, so the 50% reduced is $4,050.
And 1,000-foot driveway?
Question for you. You made a comment about the USDA and that if we ended up going with the merger, would they have to go to the feds first to get approval? Because you said something about you have to get out of the USDA agreement.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
You made a comment about USDA, to get out of the agreement that you have, it has to be like an active power of the government.
Yeah.
For Westerville, water, they can go.
Yeah, if Westerville
Westerville
wanted to take over. Yeah. Yeah. And to be clear, Delco also has a similar agreement born out of the Polaris. When Polaris was annexed into Columbus, Polaris was in Delaware County, and so there was lawsuits filed. Her agency was involved, our agency was involved. Columbus, wanted to serve that area. And so at the end, there was a big settlement agreement, separate settlement agreements, because we're separate entities, but there were separate settlement agreements. And so basically Columbus agreed to stop at the county line and not further. We agreed to let them serve Polaris with the commercial entities. And we continue to serve the residential areas around Polaris. And yours was a little different because of the way sanitary sewer is gravity. But regardless, that settlement agreement, we've abided by it quite a bit. There's been a couple times where we swapped a couple properties where it made sense, but for the most part, we lived up to the spirit of that agreement. And USDA did sign off on that agreement as well. And basically, Columbus said, we're not going to go into Delaware County any further. We're not going to continue to go further into Delaware. So I think between the water and the sewer, it really limits the amount of annexation I think that Columbus would want to undertake beyond the county line.
But are the developers aware of all that type of legal stuff? And that?
When they call and ask us, who's providing water or sewer here, we have to.
Because does that contract can help us at all? Or because you're so far away from Polaris, that doesn't really come to here. Play.
I don't know that it hurts you. Yeah, I don't know that it hurts you. I guess it depends on what perspective you take on that. But I don't, honestly, it does not hurt you. You have access to water and sewer, between these two entities, right, that are standing here tonight.
So when is the plan for Delaware to start putting in the feeder lines into the sewer?
I think the intention would be for us to be ready to roll, that we're getting the sewer line installed prior to that tunnel being finished in 2026. And then come back and make that final connection once the tunnel is ready to accept flow. My goal would be to start working with the strategic planning committee and the trustees here in the near future to start looking at what do we want to do in the township. Excuse me. So I think that could be something that happens here in the near future.
Do you know why Ohio EPA backed up the package plans?
Sorry. Yeah, so there was some negative feedback from some of the local governments because of basically having multiple package plants pop up all over the county was a concern. Specifically my department, we have some concerns with that. If we have developers that come in and they want to build one subdivision and they want to build their own package plant for that, but then the EPA is going to require in time for them to have to take that package plant offline. Well, that developer is long gone. That's the HOA now.
So it wasn't the county that was gonna put the package.
Correct. No. We really aren't in the business of building small package plants all over the place. That's really more development specific. And it kind of becomes a problem for us in the future when those have to come offline and connect to local sewers or regional sewers. Who's paying to extend the sewers there? How are those homeowners paying for a tap fee now that once they've already paid for a plant, they already paid for their house, and now we're telling them they have to pay for a tap fee? There's a lot of issues from the local government perspective that go into how you get rid of that package plant in the future. So that was some of the feedback that they received.
So the package plant that my subdivision, Keller Pines and Hoover Woods is on, is that run by the county?
No. Well, is it Hoover Woods?
Yeah, it's Hoover Woods and then Keller Pines.
Okay, Hoover Woods is, yeah, so Keller Pines flows into that, then yes. That's a county-owned plant. We would eventually decommission that and we would send that flow to the tunnel as well in time, would be our end goal. But that's a separate thing. You've already paid your tap fee. That would be a county project that we would fund. We would take that offline because you're already on county sewer.
Right.
Yeah.
Question. You had mentioned that you service parts of Harlem Township initially. Part of that 1991 Polaris Accord, did that not specify that you would service south of Center Village Road?
It did, yeah. So the agreement,
That's north.
the agreement itself specifies that our service territory is everything up to 3637. However, it had a caveat that the city would then perform a study to determine how much flow we could send to that tunnel and how much acreage we could serve more in the near term. So long term, our service area is north of Center Village. Near term, the study outlined a boundary that was based on topography that could flow by gravity into that tunnel. So that basically is Center Village over to the east county line and over to Hoover. So that is kind of the near-term service area. And what that service area did is it gave us the total amount of flow that we could send to the tunnel based on a density of 4 people per acre for the total acreage. The reason they used that number was to come up with that total flow we could send to the tunnel. The density does not need to be 4 people per acre. It can be whatever you all want it to be, so long as we don't send more flow to the tunnel than what's allocated for our share.
So in essence, our township is covered to the north of Center Village.
I mean,
Say that.
can I say that on, can we call the microphone? Yeah, probably.
But in the long-term plan, it's
Realistically, I think we've calculated about 4 million gallons per day as our share to the tunnel, which it's pretty significant. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen our treatment plant on 315, Olentangy Environmental Control Center. That does 4 million gallons per day, and it serves all the way up Sawmill Parkway. I mean, it's a significant area.
so the package plants will go away, but north of it's Sunbury, Galena. They are operating on a pressurized system, newer. So
They have a gravity system similar to what we have. They have the same type of treatment facility that we have at the county. I think Galena's is a little smaller than kind of more of our larger plants. Sunbury, I'm not real sure about their plant, but it's a similar type of facility to what we operate. They both are similar to our treatment plant to the county. But they have their own, it's their own, their own entity, and they have their ability to expand their own plant, as they see fit, yeah.
So if north of the Center Village watershed, if Sunbury decides to expand their sewer capacity, if Johnstown decides to expand, if Galena decides to expand, you wouldn't stand in their way.
I wouldn't say that. I mean,
If Sunbury's growing, Sunbury intends to move east, Sunbury intends to expand their sewer capacity.
Yeah.
And
could you speak up?
they're in the process of annexing land
Mhm.
north of the township.
Right.
Would the county stand in the way of that expansion?
So we're currently in 208 planning discussions with Galena, Sunbury, Ostrander, the whole county-wide. And those are some of the discussions that we're having is who's going to service what, how far south, east, north, whatever, are we going to agree to allow Sunbury to go? Same with Galena. We have the ability to service quite a bit of the county, and we basically, the commissioners have taken the stance that they are not in favor of giving up lands for annexation. That should be up to the developer and the property owner to decide which direction they want to go. If we have the ability to serve it, they don't want us to just give up that ability. We want that to be up to that landowner to decide. For instance, there's some areas in Galena, in Genoa Township that could either flow to Galena or to the county. We both have overlapping abilities to serve those areas. So we've had meetings, and I've had some commissioners involved because ultimately it's their decision. And their viewpoint is we don't want to just lock in areas that we could service, reasonably cost effectively to allow to say, hey, that's Galena's service area. So that property owner has to annex to be able to get service. They're not willing to do that right now. Now, we're not that far in the discussions with Sunbury. Those are very initial. I think Sunbury's ability to expand and annex is as limited as ours is right now in that area, because they're limited by the size of their plant. We're limited by not having a plant. So, those discussions I think will evolve over time.
But the township is not involved in those discussions.
They will be. Yes, in time they will be.
So I think one of the things, Rick talked about how we're advancing our planning forward. We were looking at a 20-year horizon and now we're looking at 5-year horizons, right? So what was a 20-year plan is now a 5-year plan. And we're a plan that we're talking about not annually, but daily. I mean, we're legitimately talking about our planning daily. And one of the things we have to consider is the sewer district has to decide how big they want to make their lines. We have to decide how big we want to make our lines. And a lot of that is driven by zoning and densities. And the township has now created some overlays, which does affect, the sizes that we need to make our lines properly serve and maintain the level of service that we desire for our customers. And so those are some of the things that, the name of the game is constantly changing right now, and we're constantly reevaluating. I've got a water line over in Genoa Township that was a 16-inch, and I just changed it to a 24-inch today to help better feed water into this region. So it is something that is changing almost daily for us right now.
Yeah, in terms of capacity, you guys talked about what you're doing there at R1. Being able to handle capacity, or excuse me, being able to handle capacity that's coming in from potentially around township. Knowing full well what's going on right now with Columbus, since they provide all the water and sewer for New Albany, all the land annex, all the way up to Intel, and that entire area is serviced by Columbus. Knowing that they're doing the work they're doing now to try and service all of that, and I understand they told New Albany, don't annex another acre, we're done. So the question becomes, are we still gonna be okay when they hook in Intel and everything going there, or are we gonna be still over here saying, well, someday Delco's gonna run sewer up here, but we don't know when. But that's been the case for the last 20 years.
Intel is a animal and a beast in and of itself. It's a political mover. I mean, there was a lot of political fingers in that pie, and so Columbus did not have the ability to properly treat that waste. I mean, they were out of capacity at their Southerly wastewater plant. And they've taken what was a 20-year plan and they've implemented, and I mean, we're talking $200 million to expand their wastewater treatment facility down there at the south end of town in order to help serve this capacity. They're accelerating their 4th water plant there on the side of the river to help be able to continue to push more water into this region. But really their biggest and main commitment has been just Intel, not the bubble surrounding Intel. And kind of the way I've been perceiving this from our standpoint is this. I see similarities between Polaris and Intel. Like Intel is Polaris, and then the rest of us are gonna have to figure out how to service everything else around Polaris, right? Same thing with Intel. They're servicing Intel, but the rest of us are gonna have to kind of figure out how to service the rest of the area around it. They need a commitment to Intel, and I think there were political powers in place that they just kind of said, yeah, yes, we will serve Intel.
I know, I knew they were struggling. I knew Columbus was already struggling to pull him.
Yeah.
And with all the Homewood development that takes place up the Walnut Road. And then the Franklin County Parks has bought 600 acres across the road, so Homewood wouldn't. Because they didn't want another 1,000 houses to service.
And to be clear, I will say this, the good news is this, we have a good relationship with the city of Columbus, and your agency has a good relationship with the city of Columbus. So how those areas are served, I mean, it's a conversation. It's not a, hey, it's not a battle, it's a conversation.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
All right. Yep.
Alrighty, Lisa. Financials.
March 2024 financials, the February bank reconciles. Sitting in that pile up there, appropriation status report and ledger has been emailed. Motion for approval of trustee minutes, February 21st, 2024, regular trustee meeting, February 29th, 2024, special trustee meeting, letter to residents. March the 5th, 2024, special trustee meeting with ODOT and DEO.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, okay, motion second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Approve the warrants and vouchers, according to the payment listing report, starting with warrant number 13367 through warrant number 13381. Voucher number 26-2004 through voucher number 42-2004, total amount $268,087.69.
The motion.
So moved. Second.
Second, motion and a second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Fiscal officer furniture. I've looked at it. It is expensive. I am trying to figure out. I've looked into used, I've got connections, co-op, state of Ohio co-op purchasing program. I've reached out to 2 of these to try to get quotes. I mean, a desk is like $1,000. It's ridiculous.
Was
And they're
there,
not, I mean, they're not. I've looked at used furniture, Dave.
yeah, we didn't have anything that came from regional that you can utilize other than,
I have no idea. Nobody's, yeah, I don't know.
well,
Cause I'd like to get like a Fire King.
Did you have a list? I mean, is everything on your list that you want?
yeah, we should,
Condensed and filing cabinets?
Yeah, but I don't want that office is so small. I don't want a huge pieces of furniture like. You know what I'm saying? I just need a desk, like a cadenza that has storage. I can put paper in and supplies. And then the lateral. I don't need a big, huge wall thing because that office isn't that big.
Can we take, I mean, I'm just asking, can we take what was in there and put it and then just add whatever we need?
Well, that's like an L-shaped desk.
But I think that breaks apart, I think.
I don't think it does.
Most of those normally do, okay.
I'm not sure, maybe.
They normally do.
I don't know.
But do you need it or you just want?
Yeah, I just want a desk and a credenza
Okay,
thing
can-
with lateral and a Fire King.
Can we look into it?
Like a Fire King 2-door lateral,
No, just even a top one. I mean,
okay,
it's something I can keep my files in.
okay,
That's
okay.
gonna be safely if there's a
Okay.
fire.
Now we need to do some exploring now.
So we need to look into that, but I,
Yeah.
if you just need just a straight desk, I'm 99% sure just from past that those break apart. So we should be able to just get the desk if you don't need the L.
No, I don't want to L.
Like,
Well, put
That
this-
thing is just, you know what I'm saying? It's
Can-
skinny and
okay.
long.
can we put this on?
Put this discussion on hold then.
I will look either tonight, depending
Yeah.
on when I get out of here.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll-
I know right now I can get a Fire King used filing cabinet for like, I think $300.
I think-
Oh,
I think the
good.
file cabinet we're gonna have to do. I'm just worried
Yeah.
about the desk.
And I'm gonna need a chair because I think I got your old chair that falls down.
Once it's down, it stays.
So I'm sitting like this.
Yeah, I understand. Trust me.
Okay,
So
Where did we get all that equipment there? Or was that from the county?
regional, yeah,
regional.
From regional?
When they moved.
and I'm not sure what's still available, what to,
Yeah, we need to research that.
yeah, find
But I
out.
would say we're probably definitely gonna have to do a chair and,
Oh, yeah,
you know,
the credenza
Chair I
thing,
can get. I mean,
yeah.
we just do
my office supply.
do a chair in the file cabinet for now. Can you do that? And then we'll find it, we'll
The
decide.
chair, the file cabinet and the credenza, you're not, I'm pretty sure we don't have that.
Yeah, because I kind of want to,
One of those 3 things,
yeah, I want
Okay.
just a combination where I can have storage, because there's no storage.
Right.
There's no shelving in there. There's
No.
nothing.
yeah,
So I kind of want to do like a shelving, not shelving, but something that hides.
Right, I understand, I
paper.
understand.
And then the other half lateral file.
you said about 300 for the file cabinet, you know how much the credenza and chair would be then?
No, because I haven't even looked. at
Oh,
it.
okay.
That, I just found the used one down in Columbus.
Up to,
Because it was like 350 or
yeah,
350 to 400. For that used.
want
one,
up
and
to
that's
amount, or
pretty cheap.
you wanna wait till you check the desk out?
Oh, you need this pretty quick too, right?
Well, I mean, the office is ready.
Yeah,
Yeah, Dustin got it
Strategic
done.
planning Committee needs to come back with the numbers for the budget. So if we get a special meeting or something to.
Yeah, yeah, recess this or something.
we're gonna recess this. Can we get those numbers pretty quick?
Okay,
Well, yeah, I'll try.
Okay.
Try to get strategic planning committee budget at the same time
Yeah.
and get that knocked out.
That'll work.
Next week or something.
That'll work. All right. Good then? Is that it?
Yes,
All right.
that's it.
Trustees. Dave,
okay, we have the resolution 24-0322-003 to approve the amendment to the service agreement between Archer Energy and Harlem Township. This is the first amendment to the master service agreement dated March 17, 2022 between Archer Energy LLC and Harlem Township Board of Trustees, Delaware County. The first amendment of the service agreement dated March 17, 22 is entered into this 19th day of March 24 by and between Archer Energy LLC, the vendor, whose place of business is located at 9777 Fairway Drive, Powell, Ohio, and Harlem Township Board of Trustees, Delaware County, whose principal place of business is located at 3883 South State Route 605, Glen, Ohio. Whereas the parties entered the master service agreement dated March 17, 2022 for the vendor to provide natural gas service to Harlem Township Natural Gas Aggregation Program for the benefit of the program members. Whereas the term of the MSA expires April 24, whereas the natural gas supplied through the program is currently supplied at a variable price rate. Whereas the parties now desire to extend the term of the MSA until May 31st of 25 in accordance with the MSA Exhibit A. Now the parties agree to the following extension. Term of the MSA extended until May 31st, 25. Signatures of persons executing the First Amendment in representative capacity hereby warrants he or she has authority to sign First Amendment and has duly authorized by his or her principal to execute the First Amendment on such principal's behalf and authorized to bind such principal. Conflicts in event of a conflict between the terms of the MSA, any First Amendment to the MSA, and the First Amendment and terms of the shall prevail. Other items of MSA unchanged, all terms and conditions of MSA and any First Amendment of MSA not changed by this amendment remain the same, unchanged, in full force and effect. We need an adopted date and a signer.
adopted date would be
Be 3/20,
20.
naming who wants to be the signer, me?
Yeah.
All right,
So that is the motion. Do I have a
Yes.
second?
Yeah, second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
okay.
Okay, the transfer sick leave.
Yeah, want me to go through that for you?
Oh, Matt can, it doesn't matter.
Okay, oh, Matt, did you catch we only can use 3 digits after the decimal
Yeah,
point?
so it'll be 445, not 4453.
Gotcha. And you guys are all aware of the conversation Andrew had.
Yes.
Corey about that to make sure. it's all good.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
All right, resolution 24-0320 Tango -004 for approval for the transfer in of sick leave for Jason Andrewsis. I move to approve transfer of sick leave hours of 520.77 hours from ODNR and 110.675 from the city of Columbus for a total of 631,445, with the conditional use that all Harlem Township sick leave must be used before the transfer in the bank can be used. And Harlem Township will not permit transferred in sick hours to count towards sick leave conversion payout.
What about when they retire too? If they retire from here?
You cannot cash in these.
If you
Okay.
retire, you can't cash?
No. I don't think
Not,
so.
not the brought in ones.
Okay.
Are you saying we need to include that? You think we need to include that in there?
I think we need
by the
to-
code.
Probably should.
Okay.
I was gonna say, yeah. All right, so are you writing that in there, Lisa?
Yeah, no cash out.
Correct.
Sick leave cash out.
For transferred.
For the transferred in.
For the transfer, yeah. I'll second that if that's,
Yes. So a motion and a second, all in favor?
I
All opposed, same sign.
do need to make notation that Jason needs to furnish a letter from ODNR and the city of Columbus stating the hours that he's transferring in.
To the fiscal officer.
To the fiscal officer.
Yeah.
correct.
Got it.
Alrighty. Cemeteries.
I was talking to Kendra about Memorial Day flags for cemeteries. Going to work with Jerry on that. With the Green Close family, is that correct?
Chris Close, yeah.
Yes, Christmas. To get those placed in, so we're gonna make the order. It was $980 last year, and we didn't hear back from a price for the flags. And we have to have them ordered. We have about a month to do that. Yeah.
The post in Galena, veterans, has offered last year to supply a lot of our flags, most of them for us. So follow up with them if you, I talked to Kendra today about it,
Okay.
so, should be no expense.
Okay. She said, I'll follow back up. She said she called him and was the person she talked to was unaware of the program. So she's gonna continue reaching out.
Left hand don't know what the right hand's doing.
The other thing on the cemeteries, I got one pricing quote already for like horse board fencing on the Fancher Road Cemetery on both sides, the north and the south side. Just on the road section of the fence, the old chain link fence going around the back will stay the same.
Okay.
The only issue there was there's some trees that are planted on the north side of the road that are kind of growing into the old fence.
Yeah.
And they're kind of shabby, not taken care of.
Right.
Or we either we need to get them out of there or really clean them up. And I was just wondering if there's any, do you know any personal attachment to those trees that are growing in the fences? Okay. And then my next thing would, if it pleases the board, to get a quote to have those trees removed
Okay,
off
can we get
that
a
road.
quote and get that cleaned
Okay.
up?
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, get with Otis, who we usually use for,
I did. It was
Okay.
Hardwick.
yes.
Actually, I think Ed's already got a contract with them right
Okay,
now.
good.
Well, so
Good.
I'll reach out to them, do that. So I got one quote of the fencing. It was actually really good pricing, but I want to get a couple more options just so we can present those. And I'll
Okay.
have those hopefully at the next meeting.
Good.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you. Facilities, the only thing I had was the Grange just had its second quarterly cleaning on March 15th, so.
Okay.
Administrative, Kendra's not here, so. Let's see if I can figure, so the personal leave, a change in the wording. As you said, basically all full-time personnel, taking the full-time employees in the fire service and we're adding it to all, or changing it to all full-time personnel.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's on page 35, paragraph 1. And then on page 36, paragraph 2, we're gonna delete the entire section, is that correct?
Yes,
Just delete this section.
this paragraph,
Yeah, just.
Just that paragraph,
paragraph 2,
okay, just paragraph 2, okay.
okay.
Yeah, sure.
Resolution 24-0320 Tango 0-004, approval on employee personnel policy and procedure handbook, personnel leave and holiday revisions. I move to approve the aforementioned revisions to the Harlem Township personnel policies and procedures handbook effective 21 March 2024.
You have a motion, have a second,
Second,
all in favor, aye?
all right,
All opposed, same sign. We had a amendment to the motion from 221.
yeah. Mr. Chairman, we have a motion amendment to February 21st, 24 minutes. The motion for approval of the contract with Roches, Johnson and Griggs LLC attorneys for strategic planning. And the motion read, Trustee Yeager moved to approve the contract with Roches, Johnson and Griggs LLC for strategic planning. Compensation for such counsel for 2024 will be paid to as follows: $225 an hour per partner attorney time, $205 for senior associate, $180 for associate time, $120 for law clerk, and $105 for legal assistant time out of pocket expense and reimbursements, provided the total compensation does not exceed 25,000 without further action by the board. So what we need to do is approval of the resolution to hire Brochus, Johnson and Briggs, like I read, I believe. Let me check.
I'm sorry. Is this one you mentioned that
Yeah.
it's? Can you explain that to the board to make sure we get it correct?
Yeah, so on 221, there was a motion made. And then there was a resolution made. So you guys need to accept the resolution because you only voted as a motion and not as a resolution.
So what are they suggesting we do there then?
So
We
basically,
just need to revote, I believe.
Just
yeah,
revote?
she's making an amendment.
Revote as a resolution. Okay, so the motion I read will be revoted as resolution 24-0221T003
Okay.
to approve the resolution.
Do I have a motion to approve the resolution? Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
All right.
All opposed, same sign. That do it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So all the way down to resolution 24 to 032 OT -005. Either one of you?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is a motion 24-0320T-005 to approve the purchase of security system monitors. I move that we approve the purchase of 2 security system monitors for zoning and administrative at the cost of $157.50 each, plus $285 for labor and installation, for a cost not to exceed $650.
Motion, do I have a second?
What's, Mike, do you know about, you're getting a security, what is it? I don't know anything about this.
The monitor, when we put that, with the system, we missed 2 monitors that needed to go in, for one to go into the security office and one to go into the administrative office. Just to monitor the,
Okay, so it's just a monitor watching it with security feed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's the vendor? Is it going to
the same,
Don't know.
wouldn't it be the same?
I would say it'd probably be,
I think it's,
what's his name?
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor, aye?
All right.
All opposed, same sign. Okay. Maintenance roads and parks, maintenance.
Well, I added some chip seal here in the village. Went to the pre-con meeting for Fancher 605. That's gonna begin, the closure is supposed to be April 15th, 40 days. And the gentleman that was there from county, or not, excuse me, ODOT, is supposed to come out and check our roads. He hadn't personally saw Hatch. But during the meeting, they had a oops, they forgot to have a detour for Fancher. So they'll get back to us.
Okay.
Are they gonna-
They got a detour for 605 though.
Are they gonna close it? April?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I live on Hatch Road. And that's what I come up here to ask them more about.
Right.
Here, with the detour and all that stuff, to keep them off of Hatch Road. That's a township road and it's not, it's half chip and seal and half paved.
Yeah.
And it's 40 miles an hour and it's too darn fast as it is on that road already. And if you don't get something to slow them down, it's gonna be just like 605. There's 100 and some cars between here and my place when I drive up the road here in the morning,
Mhm.
coming down this road.
We are discussing that with the county and with the state, trying to figure out an option. Unfortunately, it's kind of limited. We're asking for assistance for signage. And trying to divert, the plan is to divert people away from there. But You know, everybody's got a GPS in their car and they're gonna,
Can't do any good with the county line, so they ain't gonna do nothing down here.
Probably not.
What time is the construction supposed to, what date is the construction?
15.
15th?
40-day closure.
Is there any construction that needs to be done on Hatch Road by the township? That has to be.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
tearing up the roads, the ditch is so bad now, it isn't funny. And then, you know, that sharp turn on that road, that semis, there shouldn't be any, it should be just for local traffic anyhow.
Well, I know
Who knows?
that, are we discussing, trying to see if we can put,
Think we can maybe say, they said it's not enforceable, but we said that, I asked them about putting no through truck signs up. But they said it's not, we can put them up, but it's not enforceable. But I guess it's a bluff, that's the theory.
Too much traffic on the road every time, you know, there's a wreck down there every 2 weeks.
Right.
And, those people fly up through there. I
Mhm.
mean, they don't just drive the speed limit, they're running 50 miles an hour, 60 or better.
That's what I'm saying.
So I've lived on that road for 50 years.
Question on that,
yes,
is the school district aware of that being shut down? Cause that's gonna be a logistic nightmare for the busing.
I would hope.
I would certainly think they are.
There again, that's county and state, you know, we.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna.
The other thing was, do we want to have Kendra post an ad for part-time person for mowing to help?
I think we should. I think a part-time person to help mowing would be a.
I
Take the
noticed
pay range or not?
about it today. He said it would be very helpful.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in the summertime. So.
Yeah. Thinking 18 or 20.
Probably. I mean.
That's a political answer.
19.
19. Unfortunately, in today's day and age, trying to get $15 an hour would be a great pay for, as far as I'm concerned, but you know, getting someone that is going to show up to work and be coherent when they come to work, I don't know that you're gonna get that for 15.
Well,
No.
you probably want to look at how many hours we want to do for the whole summer.
Yeah, we want to hold it in that part-time basis, so max of 30 or whatever.
30 or less.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, God, it kills me. $20 to cut grass.
Yeah.
Can I do that?
In your spare time, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have a lot of spare time because this is all gonna calm down now.
Oh, yeah.
I would say a rate of $20 an hour as much as
Okay.
it kills me to do that.
Yeah, because we didn't get anything before when we,
And it's part-time, so no benefits.
right. Okay,
No benefits. Get someone on the.
I'll pass it on to her.
It has to be, I mean, it can't be, it has to be 18 or older, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
Did they go on insurance? Part-time?
Have what, I'm sorry?
Less than 32 hours.
yeah,
We have to make sure they're insured.
yeah,
With our
Right,
insurance.
right.
Yeah, that's my.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Just make sure.
Got
It's,
Ed's request for trees.
okay. Ed, you have something for parks, sir?
I do, Ed Valeska, Park Committee. At the beginning of the year, we submitted a proposed budget. One of the line items was $900 for anticipated routine maintenance of the trees in the park. We forwarded through Kendra to you 2 quotes. One to treat the 19 crabapple trees in the park for scab and scale by spraying horticultural oil on them at a cost total of $475 from Hardwick. The second quote is from Acorn Farms. And both of these are being done at the recommendation of the state's regional arborist. So we're not just making this up. $56.70 for fertilizer to treat, maple trees, there's 40 some of them. Which have a condition called chlorosis, where the leaves tend to lose their color, their greenness. So that's a request, if you will.
Question, I have one, and then after that, actually, I'm gonna have to abstain from voting on this because of a personal tie with one of the companies. Is this something when this spraying is going on that the public, I'm sure, is gonna be questioning is, do we need to not allow people in the park for X amount of hours, or are there any issues there?
What will be sprayed, my understanding, is an oil. Not something that is toxic in any way.
Okay.
But that's my limited understanding of it. You know, we may have to close it for a couple hours.
Could you ask going forward, I mean, like I said, get an MSDS sheet for that product, so we could have it on file
Yes,
here for any questions that would come through.
yes.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion, like I said, I have to abstain. So I entertain a motion.
Did I mention a total $56.70 for the fertilizer?
Yes,
Yes.
75 for the other one.
Long day.
Resolution 24-0320 Tango-005, approval for Parks Committee to proceed with routine tree maintenance. I move to approve the bid from Hardwick Tree Care LLC of $475 and purchase fertilizer from Acorn Farms to treat maple trees at $56.70. Money to be used from the Parks Committee tree maintenance budget.
I have a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All same or opposed, same sign, and I abstain.
Thank
All
you.
right, yes.
Just for information, we did apply for and receive a $100 grant to purchase native pollinator plants to put in the garden that we discussed at the last meeting. We also applied for and received a grant which will provide 10 cubic yards of primo compost to add to that garden. And we're talking with the garden club now, reference installation, maintenance, and all those things.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Fire department.
Carl?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Last fall, I mentioned to several people about the large oak tree in the park. There is a bug out called oak wilt borer that's attacking oak trees, and it can take them from a live healthy tree in 90 days to a complete dead tree. I dealt with Charter Oaks down here, and they're willing to come up and take a look at it, see if it's something that ought to be done.
Appreciate that. Ed, is that something that we've checked into, by the way? I mean, you guys looked at that?
This is the first time hearing.
Can you make sure you communicate with Roger so we get that taken care of?
Sure.
All right. Thank you, Roger. All righty, fire department.
Resolution 240302 OT 00605. I'm sorry. One number zero. For approval to use the insurance funds to purchase replacement of fire chief vehicles. Insurance settlement funds at 50,000 minus $1,000 deductible, total 49,000. And we don't know exactly because we're still working with the adjuster on that. It's the cap is 50, so we don't know. It's worth what was happened was worth more than that. To buy a Ford Explorer with a government discount of 44,815. Lead package of 5,589 and graphics of 1,600 for a total of 52,004, not to exceed 55,000.
All righty, a motion.
I'll make the motion to that effect.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Is that it, sir?
That's plenty, sir.
I'm not used to that from you. All right, zoning, Mike.
Okay. First order of business would be, we're getting an increased amount of zoning verification letter requests, which are requested, they call it, if somebody's interested in buying a business down there. So the purchaser is getting with either their law firm law firm or a business. And for their due diligence, they're just sending letters to us, asking for all the information on it, any zoning information, any past issues on it. What's the classification? Anything that's, if it's a planned commercial district or planned business down there. Got to get all that stuff copied. Long story short, it takes a lot of time, very time consuming. It's stuff that the law firm is charging that customer. The most recent one was from Florida. That is, it's just time consuming. So what I'd like to do is add it. Most of the other townships and municipalities have fees for that of $50 and $100 to give that information up and process. And I'm asking that we add that to the fees. So I guess this motion is to approve a request for a zoning verification letter fee to be added to the zoning fee schedule. You guys read that or you want me to?
Yeah, no, that's, we can read it. Good.
Motion to approve request for zoning verification letter fee be added to zoning fee schedule. Move to approve request for zoning verification letter fee of $50 for residential and $100 for planned district to be added to zoning fee schedule.
Have a motion, I have a second. Motion and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. There.
Okay. Just a couple other things. Right now we're sitting at 10 permits for the year. We've got some open enforcement issues. I'll just touch base on those. We have 5 properties that we're dealing with for junk and debris. 3 of those are at the prosecutor's office. 2 of those we're currently just dealing with letters, and they'll probably eventually end their way up in Corey's hands. Got 2 businesses we're dealing with right now in residential areas. One's going to the BZA for a PCD request, and then one is in the courts with Corey. We've got 2 properties operating right now. I'm assuming it's an extended home use without a permit. I'm waiting on information back from them. If they get back with me, probably that'll end up at the BZA or the zoning commission, depending on how they want to go with it. If not, if they fail to get back with me, it's going to end up in Corey's hands also. We do have one property that we've been dealing with that's coming up that we're going to have to make some decisions on how you want to deal with it. We had a default judgment was filed and granted per Corey was telling me about this. He's ordered to make corrective actions on the property. If he does not, he can be fined and the township can legally enter the property to abate the property. So we're gonna have to start thinking about what we're gonna do with that. You guys probably want to have some kind of discussion on that or think about it so you can have discussion about how we want to approach that. That could, based on this property, it could be very costly. Yeah. And dangerous. Got a couple issues on heading over to the Board of Zoning Appeals. We still have the Ivy Ridge issue on signs. We've got an expanded home use that person is still dealing with medical issues, and right now he's not operating his business, but he's going to come in as soon as he feels well enough to handle that. We have a legal non-conforming lot that's probably going to come into the BZA. And then we have another one that's going to come into the BZA that's, I'm assuming, is an extended home use for auto repair. And we have one potential issue for the zoning commission, which we already discussed, is the PCD for the boardwalk business. That's it.
Just so you know, I've received a phone call from Miller Paul Road that they can hear an exorbitant amount of pounding coming from south of them, somewhere around the center village, Miller Paul area.
Somewhere around that boardwalk business
So it could be.
we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that has come from halfway up Miller Paul, so it must be loud.
Well, I had the opportunity to talk to that lawyer because they've got an architect that's working on the plans that they're coming in for. And I talked to the lawyer on that and asked him about that video. And he said it only happens once a year when they do that. And I said, well, obviously the person did not do himself any favors because he's pounding on that thing. It was 6:30 in the morning, I think I saw on that.
Yeah.
He's pounding on this floors at 6:30 in the morning. I did not realize it was that bad. I told him, I said, you've done yourself no favors. I don't think anybody's going to look favorably upon that. And if it was just a once a year thing, why didn't we do it at 6:30 in the morning in the backyard of the residence?
It is almost daily.
Yeah, well, he's got a cease and desist, so.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That's it. All right, as I said, we had to get to this, so we'll go ahead and open it up to public talk. I'm sorry,
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you guys sign the checks?
I didn't. Thanks.
Okay.
We'll open it up to public comments. There are none. All right, we have a couple of prices that have got to get back to us, so I would recommend that we next week, have a meeting next week. We'll just extend it. Can we do that? Or that,
No,
or do we want to try to,
next week is. My wife thinks I need to take her somewhere.
oh,
I'm
okay,
trying to, I don't know what days it is, I want to say. I could do a Monday,
Monday,
25th,
okay, time.
anytime.
I have an appointment in the morning, so it'll have to be afternoon.
You guys name it.
Hmm?
You guys name it.
I can do it the afternoon, evening around.
Like afternoon.
6 o'clock.
It's fine.
Let's not do it late, yeah, but.
Let's do 6 o'clock.
work for you?
Okay, so
We're gonna recess
we're
until.
recess till 6 o'clock on the 25th. Do we need executive session?
Now, or do you want to wait till that?
Dave, you got time? Can we do it tonight?
Sure.
All right, we're gonna do an executive session. The 3 trustees, the fire chief. Do we need the fiscal officer? Okay,
Not yet.
okay, not at this point. We're gonna go to the other room. If you guys want to wait, we'll come back in here afterwards. So we'll go ahead and just.
What do you want to do?
Can I put the books away?
Yeah.
Yeah, just.
Turn it back on.
Hey,
Well,
yeah.
no, Steve.
Yes, ma'am. You're not leaving.
Just.
They're going 15th of April.
Pause everything, and then we'll have to turn it back on.
Probably not. We're trying to the county. Truck sites, just still down. I think there's much we can do. That's gonna take the compiling. That's gonna be part of it there. That's what was, yeah. Yeah. All right, so up here. Yeah, it's over there. Yeah.
Online, still listening?
And they do.
Yeah.
All right, so we got audio, video,
We're gonna put something together for.
Oh, okay, that's, I knew that.
Cost.
going out of executive session.
Okay, entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second on favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. I don't have any other business. Don't know if anybody else does. So I would entertain a motion to recess this till Monday at 6 o'clock. When we hopefully will have some information from Lisa in regards to the furniture and from strategic planning in regards to mailing cost potential or what they're estimating.
Agreed.
So I have a motion, I'll make the motion to recess to time certain, Monday at 6 o'clock.
I'll second that.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Nicely done. All right.
We go, let Fred shut that down.
Yeah.
If we can get those off.
Yes, I have not had time to deliver.
He said, he told you what to do. I'm not even gonna interrupt.